Hello there. First things first, I apologize for the low video quality. I'm using a webcam, so bear with me. Secondly, I want to go ahead and thank everyone who wrote in with all of the kind words of support in the aftermath of me suddenly leaving Incarcery 9. A few people have asked why, and right now, although obviously me and the guys aren't on the best terms, we did mutually decide to just kind of keep our reasons for parting quiet for the time being. It wouldn't really portray either side in a good light. Uh, but that said, thank you very much, and thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. Um, I also have signed the contract with Bear Manor Media, and my novel Eros Empire, which I know so many of you have been waiting for, will be out probably later this summer. Um, from Bear Manor Media. It will be available in physical form, and it will also be available as an audiobook and a uh, ebook for Kindle. So that's where that's at. We're very excited, and today we're going to talk about Donna Hughes, and I'm bringing this up because Pat Truman is up to his old shenanigans again. Uh, he couldn't manage to get John Staliano put away on obscenity charges, so now he's gotten a bunch of conservative senators and congressmen to sign off on a letter that he's written begging Eric Holder to vigorously prosecute. I'm not sure how you vigorously prosecute something as opposed to just plain old regular prosecuting it. But anyway, to vigorously prosecute illegal, quote unquote, illegal pornography, which is all pornography, and everything. So he's gotten another little rally of people together to voice their ideas, and I was looking at some of the speakers, and it became very, very obvious who I wanted to feature this time around, because I'm not gonna like edit the video. Usually, I edit these videos to where I just take highlights from them and comment on that for the sake of time. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to let the video run from beginning to end and cut in with my commentary, because I honestly don't think this woman makes a single true statement in the entire video. I mean, it is utterly remarkable just how much factual error there is in this. I mean, it literally seems like pure fiction. The woman in question is Donna Hughes. Now, I'm not referring to Donna Rice Hughes, the president of the anti-pornography special interest group Enough is Enough. She has also been featured in Pat Truman's stuff, and she, as many of you may remember, she was the one who took a very intimate photo with Gary Hart and cost him his 1998 1988, excuse me, presidential campaign. So and after incurring a sex scandal, I can only assume that she's being all anti-porn, ironically. But anyway, uh, that's not who I'm talking about. Oh, by the way, we have a new addition. This is Simba. He was poking around the building where I work, and so I took him in. Anyway, um, this is Donna M. Hughes, who is a no surprise, is a professor of women's studies at the University of Rhode Island. And it's, like I said, it's just utterly unbelievable. But I will let her do the honors. Take it away, Donna.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to be part of this conference. I'm going to talk about what happens to women in the production of pornography. Because in some cases, what happens to the women when they are used in the making of pornography is a federal felony. It is illegal activity.
Now, she says that this is what happens in some cases, but she's going to go on to make it sound like this is what happens in every case. Here's the problem: it's entirely possible that there are studios out there, or there are companies out there that are operating in the way that she describes. The thing is, the tactic that these people take actually makes it more difficult to deal with those studios and deal with people that are behaving in an unethical or unfriendly manner to their performers. See, in most industries that are socially accepted, the the general response to a person that or a company that is behaving inappropriately is to say, okay, well, that's that company. Let's punish them and work to improve conditions in the industry as a whole. We don't get that from the public at large with the porn industry. Instead, if there is any acknowledgement at all of any problems within the industry, it is used as a means or a justification to champion shutting down the entire industry. And so this approach, by that logic or illogic rather that they use, makes it harder to improve the working conditions in the porn industry in a proactive way. Now, that said, a lot of what she's describing here has got to be bullshit.
Women used in the production of commercial pornography in the United States are often subjected to violence and coercion while filming. Often they try to protest and try to stop the filming or back out before filming begins. Their protests are ignored, or they are pressured by their agent or the director to continue. Their experiences of coercion and trickery often meet the criteria for sex trafficking. And I'm going to give you some legal definitions of what sex trafficking is. Sex trafficking, first of all, is a federal felony. It's defined as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for a commercial sex act.
That definition certainly sounds very scary, and actual human trafficking is a very profound problem and a very disgusting thing. However, the web of bullshit she is about to weave does nothing to improve the conditions, or rather solve the problem of actual human trafficking. Namely, because she's going to try to twist and manipulate some vague pseudo reality of hers to piggyback it onto this larger cause of human trafficking, thereby giving her little hobby horse cause some kind of larger validity, kind of like Gail Dines tries to attach pornography to the issue of race relations to give it or rather anti-pornography to the issue of race relations to try to give it that added oomph. You dare not oppose these people for fear of being labeled a racist or someone who favors human trafficking and that kind of thing.
Which involves force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person has not attained 18 years of age. Sex trafficking is a serious crime. It's punishable by up to 20 years in prison or life in prison if there is aggravating circumstances. And since the passage of the TVPA, as it is often called, most of the cases have focused on prostitution, but there have been a couple of cases of pornography, and I think that we need to have a lot more investigation of sex trafficking in the production of pornography. What I have done is I've reviewed testimonies, talked to women who've been in pornography, and talked to them what about their experiences, and reviewed their testimonies for what their experiences are. And I have found that many of the women entering the pornography industry do not have any idea what they're going to be subjected to.
This might fly 40 years ago. But to say now, in this day and age, in the age of the internet, that you don't know what's going to be expected of you is complete and utter bullshit. And I'm sorry, but if there are actual women and actual men even out there making this claim that you did not know what was going to be expected of you on the porn set, then I am sorry, but I have absolutely no sympathy or respect for you or for any of your supposed problems. It is totally and completely and easily within your capacity to do your due diligence and look up on the internet the companies, what goes on in porn, the companies that you're going to be looking, that you're going to be working for. Look at what they're like. You can try, you can even try to get in touch with former stars and former porn stars and starlets and everything. I know quite a few people in and out of the business myself because of the book I've been writing, and they'll tell you what to expect, and on no uncertain terms. So to say that these women don't know what's going to be expected of them on the set is absolute and total bullshit. And like I said, if there is anyone out there that honestly didn't know what was going to be expected of them when they did porn, I have no sympathy whatsoever.
Like most victims of sex trafficking, they need money or are looking for opportunities. The agents, directors, and producers take extreme advantage of often naive young women.
Ah, yes, the classic gambit that the women who do porn are too poor, stupid, and uneducated to make a better choice for themselves. This is real. This angle is constantly worked, and see, the thing is constantly worked over, I should say. And the thing is, no amount of analysis or discussion seems to work with these people, or seems to get it across to them. But I could cite people like Victoria Zdrock or Bobby Starr, who are college graduates who had very successful careers and very good educations before they decided to go into porn. Even men like Paul Thomas, for example, who had a mainstream Broadway and film acting career before he decided to go into porn. These people are out there, and it deflates your premise that they're just too stupid to decide better. But really, I'm curious about the psychology of this sort of thing, because the left has always prided itself on championing class struggle, on separating the or breaking down, I should say, the separations between classes economically, sociologically, and that kind of thing. But here we see something very interesting, which is the educated, affluent, academic left and its sort of snootiness with in a way, with the lower, what they perceive as being a lower class of people. It's a very condescending sort of thing of saying, "Oh, you poor little dear. Oh, you poor stupid invalid person. Let me pity you. Let me pretend to care and love you and help you and all of this." And I think it's a real problem on the left, because what it does, this kind of fake camaraderie that we see, this kind of condescending, backhanded camaraderie, really serves to denigrate the good things that can come out of out of unionizing and out of breaking down genuinely, truly breaking down class barriers and that kind of thing.
Their first experience making commercial pornography is often brutal and traumatic. These women know very little about the business of pornography or what will be required. but are usually eager to make money and think it's going to be easy money. And as one woman said, she told her agent that she had no limits on what she was willing to do. She was willing to do anything if she was going to make money. Later, she said she had no idea what that meant, and by then she had signed a one-year contract.
Well, she never actually says whether or not this supposed one-year contract was signed with a an agent or a production studio, but it's unlikely that either studio or agent would put such a huge investment into someone that's so incredibly naive and has no experience in porn. It's not unheard of, but usually there's some additional circumstance that makes the person more viable. For example, Kelly McCartney was able to get signed to Vivid immediately, but that was with no real prior porn experience, but that was because she had been a Miss America. And, anyone who follows Steve Hirsch knows he's been trying to get the Octomom to do porn for Vivid for ages. So it's out there. It does happen. But even so, it's unlikely that they would get a contract that's that long for that period of time. And the other thing is that a contract with a production studio really only covers, in terms of the limitations it puts on the performer, it just confirms that they won't go and do porn for shoot scenes for other studios during the duration of the contract. It's not some way of legally coercing people into having sex, and that's something we're going to get into more in a minute.
She said she was terrified when she arrived at the studio to shoot her first scene. She said, "I tried backing out and wanted to go home and not do porn at all." She was reminded that she had signed a contract, so she couldn't back out, which of course she may have violated the contract, but certainly she had the right to back out. She said, "I was threatened that if I did not do the scene, I was going to be sued for lots of money."
This is utterly unreal, just unbelievable. There is no way to legally force someone to have sex with you. And certainly no way to litigate someone into having sex with you. And the very idea that this is what's being suggested, what she's describing here is a performance contract. And so I don't know what contracts she's citing or what contracts or who she's referring to or anything like that, but what's generally included in a performance contract, one, if it's to be a long-term contract model, then it just says that you'll be exclusive to one company, but it says that you're going into the work that you're going to be doing without diminished capacity, that you are legally of age and mentally competent to make the decision that you're doing, and that you are fully aware of what's going to be expected of you, and that you give your consent to participate in these things. And so from there, models can easily challenge a director on the spot and say, I did not agree to do this or that or this or that. Now, do you want to film what we agreed to film, or do you want to pay my kill fee and have this bad strike on your record? And that's the reality of the industry. The women in the porn industry, despite what this woman with her delusions of sex trafficking would like to think, the women in porn call the shots. Even the male performers in gay porn don't get the same kind of consideration and respect that female performers get. Every female performer has her list of do's and don'ts and people who she will and will not work with, and the studio has got to abide by that. Not one because it's the law, but also because the porn community is a very, very small community and a very close-knit community, like in the San Fernando Valley, for example. And if you establish a track record of treating performers like shit, especially if they're ones with any amount of name cloud associated with them at all, if you establish a record of treating performers that way, no one's going to want to work with you. And I was recently in a movie with Nina Hartley. No, not the kind of movie she normally makes, but I was interviewed for a documentary called The Devil in Shelley Lubin, which will be coming out. I don't know quite how they're planning to release it, but it will be coming out fairly soon. And in that documentary, Nina Hartley makes a great point that they don't have to hold anybody on the set. The girls are getting off at the bus station every day going, pick me, no, pick me, no, pick me, pick me. And in the age of cell phones, the LAPD would have a field day with some poor girl that calls them and says, help, I'm being held on a set, come get me. It doesn't happen.
She said, I experienced rough sex and was hit by the pornography actor. I told them to stop, but they wouldn't stop until I started to cry and ruined the scene. This woman's description of her experience qualifies as coercion.
See, the thing is, I have no reason to believe that any of these women even exist. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's most likely that she is quoting somebody somewhere. But the simple fact of the matter is she's not citing any of her sources on this, and even if she did cite her sources, that doesn't automatically mean that she's right. Her sources then need to be checked and verified, kind of like Shelley Lubin, or more recently Derek Burtz, who has been running hog wild trying to blame the porn industry for his recent diagnosis as being HIV positive, except that he was also working, at the time, he was also working as a male prostitute, so that casts serious doubt on whether or not he actually got HIV from the porn industry. And again, anybody obviously would sound like a dick calling bullshit on something like that, because what he's dealing with is very profound, but you do have to look into it and get the whole story.
Even if a victim initially consents to sexual activity, she always has the option of withdrawing her consent, and the activity should be stopped. If her wishes were ignored, sex trafficking then had occurred.
No, if her wishes were ignored, rape had occurred. Sex trafficking uses involuntary sex, but that is only a single component of it.
There are many women and testimonies out there that describe similar situations where they think this is going to be easy, quick money, and they have no idea of the abuse that they're going to encounter, and what's more is that they can't make it stop once it has started. One woman said, my first movie, and it seems that sometimes the most brutal treatment comes from women who are first-time actors, because they have no idea what to expect, they're naive, and are much more willing to be able to be victimized.
This is a rhetorical question because I know Miss Hughes will never answer it, but Donna, is there any chance maybe that what's going on here is that you, being obviously a very brainy, plain Jane sort of nerd, are kind of getting back at the cute, popular girls by now making it look like they need your valuable insight because they're all stupid and naive? I mean, I'm just wondering, and I have no way of verifying that, of course, but people make all kinds of brash, wild claims about, my motives and my thinking and my background and that sort of thing. So it's just something I wonder about. I mean, does talking about the pretty girls this way make the things that they said to you hurt less?
My first movie, I was treated very rough by three guys. They pounded on me, gagged me, and tossed me around like a ball. I was sore, hurting, and could barely walk. My insides burned and hurt so badly.
If a pro football player told you, said, when I joined the professional football league, when I joined the NFL, and I had no idea. I thought I knew what the game was about. But I had no experience, no past experience in the industry, and I had no idea what was going to be expected of me. And they were all running up to me and knocking me down and pushing me over and hurting me. And I got up and I just ached all over, and I had all these bone fractures and broken legs and bruises, and I was bleeding and bloody and all of that, and I had no idea how horrible it would be. You would probably look at him, like a cow looks at an oncoming train, because that's such obvious and utter bullshit. The same thing is true here. To say that you somehow jumped into the uh, upper echelons of porn production, where you would be offered serious, like 1 year contract work, or even just one-off contract work, and not know what was expected of you, and not know what your physical limits were, and that your physical limits would probably be tested by what you were doing, then you're a fucking idiot.
Another woman said, "My first scene was the worst experience of my life. It was very scary. It was a very rough scene. My agent didn't let me know ahead of time. I did it and I was crying and they didn't stop. It was really violent."
Well, if you were participating in a professionally run scene, ma'am, then the contract you signed saying that you did not have diminished capacity should have detailed exactly what was expected of you. And if they did not, if they did something that you had not planned on doing, and you went along with it, then technically they are in breach of contract, and you could that would be actionable. But if you did go along with it, then it casts a gray area on whether or not you did or did not consent to it. Sorry.
They were hitting me. It hurt. It scared me more than anything. They wouldn't stop. They just kept rolling. These women are describing the use of force in the production of pornography. If the women protested or asked the actors or directors to stop and they did not, this qualifies as force and is sex trafficking, a federal felony. Another thing that is very common in the production of pornography and is now qualifies as a type of coercion under the TVPA, and that is preying on drug use or addiction. It's now considered a nonviolent and psychological coercion. The William Wilberforce Trafficking Victims Protection Act that was passed in 2008 added a new type of coercion that can be used in sex trafficking cases. Preying on a victim's drug use or addiction, whether pre-existing or created by the trafficker.
This is something that does exist in real in real human trafficking and genuine human trafficking, and anyone who has seen the movie Taken will know what I'm talking about. Uh, but the pimps and human traffickers that take on these unwilling participants will very often shoot them up on drugs and get them addicted to drugs, and so as to kind of physically bind them to the work that they're doing, make it where the only place they can get their fix is from their pimp, and so they're eternally tied into the work. That does happen. The thing is, she's going to try to blur the line by bringing up the issues of recreational drug use in porn, in the entertainment industry at large, I should say, but in the porn lifestyle, which is like the lifestyle that rock stars lead and famous actors and that kind of thing. But that recreational drug use and also prescription painkiller abuse and they act like there's some kind of conspiracy going on with the doctors, where the doctors prescribe massive amounts of pain medication to keep these women doped and stupid and subservient. And the thing is, they do, just like further extending the football analogy, they do very physical work that is very physically demanding, and they need considerable regimen of pain maintenance. It is possible to abuse those to abuse the drugs that they're given, but that does not mean that they are not given for a constructive and necessary purpose.
Will, in and of itself, form the basis of convicting traffickers under the TVPA. Many testimonies of women used in the production of commercial pornography describe their drug and alcohol addictions and how the pornographers manipulated them. One woman said, "I wanted to back out." She wanted to back out of doing her first pornography scene. In addition to being threatened, she said, "I ended up taking shots of vodka to get through it. Porn producers provided alcohol and drugs for me." She continues, "As I did more and more scenes, I abused prescription pills, which were given to me, anything I wanted, by several doctors in the San Fernando Valley. The doctors knew I did porn, but still gave me any prescription pills I wanted. All I had to do was tell them I needed them to get through the hardcore scenes." She goes on to talk about how she then became totally addicted and was given drugs. She said she often saw women actually being given injections on the set before they did some of the really hardcore, rough scenes.
Yes, and once again, pain maintenance in porn is somehow different from everything else. Rock stars don't get steroid shots in their throats before they go on stage, and to pull their voices back around from screaming. Sports, athletes don't get massive amounts of painkillers because because they're about to go back out on the field and get stomped on. No, pain maintenance is something that is apparently unique to pornography, and somehow a means or a justification for shutting porn down, because they may or may not they may be providing their performers with the pain medication they need to do the work that they need to do. But that said, that bit of sarcasm aside, another woman, Melissa Monet, who is in the movie I referred to earlier, talks about how, not only has she never seen drugs on the set, drugs are not allowed on set, and if people showed up to the set high, they generally get sent home.
And she said eventually the women burn out from this. They become so very addicted. And she says, "When the women can no longer perform in the porn scenes because no one wanted to hire me because my drug and alcohol problem was out of control, her agent suggested that she go into prostitution and to stripping." So we see that women that get involved in the production of pornography are then moved on to stripping or prostitution, which can also be forms of sex trafficking.
While it is true that there are women who go into porn and work, develop a following, and then choose to go into stripping and prostitution, like they may work as escorts in Vegas, these things, or in Nevada, I should say, rather, these things are generally done when they're at the height of their popularity. Porn stars will get really, really famous and or develop a considerable following, and then they'll start touring to different strip clubs as feature dancers. This is done generally at the height of their popularity and to capitalize on their popularity. And a lot of porn stars will go work at Nevada brothels and that kind of thing, or they'll go from Nevada brothels into porn back and forth. But these things are done generally in recognition of a larger fan base that is there to be capitalized on. So the idea that this is something that they're encouraged to do when they're burned up and washed out is ridiculous. And furthermore, neither of those industries, the actual professional industries, will want you to, or will want performers that are so drug addled they can't perform for the same reasons. They can't put a huge financial investment into promoting somebody that can't deliver the goods.
I believe that as anti-sex trafficking activists, we should be pressing the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorneys in the states to investigate sex trafficking of women in the production of commercial pornography, especially as is preying on women's drug and alcohol addictions and when they are being forced and coerced into making scenes in pornography. Thank you.
Well, considering that most of what you said exists in some immaterial la la land that's completely divorced from reality, and combined with the fact that even if that were the case, it would only very loosely and vaguely fit the definition of human trafficking at best, I would say that this is another fine example of where the government can shut the fuck up and get out of our lives. A lot of people criticize me for being overly harsh in my critiques, as if I sound very merciless and very unforgiving and very cold in my response to these supposedly existent, always fairly anonymous women who have supposedly suffered at the hands of the industry. And the thing is, what they don't understand, what they can't understand, what they won't allow themselves to understand, is that I am speaking as an advocate for a group that's often ignored, and that's the women that do enjoy pornography and do enjoy being in pornography and participating in it. That's who I'm advocating for, and it is out of sympathy and respect for them that I have to be somewhat cold and rigid in my response to things like this, because what makes pornography work is individual responsibility. When you have the individual responsibility to take control of your own actions and take responsibility for them. And so I'm championing the people who can do that, who don't make naive, crummy, misinformed decisions in a case where the tools that they would need and the information that they would need to not make those crummy decisions is so incredibly obvious and so readily available. So, in any event, that's more food for thought. I hope you've enjoyed my glorious return to the Porn Harms Smackdown series. And, there will be more and more updates on the book as they come down the pipe. So, take care.